Hello, everybody. Here we are with another amazing webinar by one of our experts. I'm Maria, co-founder at 7 Days to Go. And today I'm going to also talk about another company that I'm co-founder on that is called Here to Start. And together with experts, we have more than 50 experts by now. Our mission is to help business owners on getting things done properly since the very beginning. That means you don't have to wait to have a huge company to have the right expertise with you. And that's why today we decided to focus on people who are in that pitching moment, people who want to know how to pitch, how to do a proper presentation, how to gather the attention and get the results that you basically need to continue. So if you're in that moment that you're wondering how to elaborate a proper pitch, a proper presentation to gather the attention from your audience, whether that person that is an investor, potential partner, client, this is the right space for you to be in. We are going to have our business development expert, and actually he's also our coach, mentor for many startups, and he also has experience as an investor. His name is Norman. I'm going to introduce Norman and let you know what's going to happen today during our event. Hello.
Hi, Maria.
Hi, Norman. Everything okay?
Oh, yeah, it's warm.
Yes, I see that you're warm. So for everybody, this is a live event for a purpose, not only for you to be able to ask anything that you want to know. Hi, Regan, by the way. You see, it's not recorded. Everybody who's joining will have the chance to leave all your questions via comments. We'll try to reply to everything. So basically, we're going to do a presentation, Q&A, and really special for today, you are going to be able to do this live pitch and have like feedback from Norman. So we're looking for 4 entrepreneurs, 4 really brave people that want to immediately implement what you have learned from Norman today and come and join us, pitch, and get his feedback. So if you are interested in doing that pitch today with us, please send us, just send me, raise your hand via private message, and we are going to give instructions on how you can join us in this space and do your pitch, correct? So Norman, a little bit about you, a little bit about what we are going to cover today, and then you're on.
Oh, all right. So originally I'm from California. I spent the last about decade in the Bay Area, where I started several companies. And I have over 20 years of experience in finance and in other industries where I started companies, including retail, health tech, and renewable energies. And during this time, I've spent a lot of time making presentations and pitches. And now I find that to be very, really fulfilling to help other people to be able to do that well too. So I've created a bit of a framework that I like to share with people whenever I coach people on how to make really effective presentations.
So for everybody who's joining, let's just to break the ice, why pitching is so important? What is the core of basically the role of pitching when you start your company and when you're looking for investors?
Yeah, so pitching is really important because when it gives people that you meet a good pitch gives them a good first impression of not only your company but also you as a entrepreneur, because ideas are generally not that unique. Investors generally will invest in teams and people. So being able to present your idea clearly and concisely makes a really impactful impression that will ultimately lead you up to the next meeting where you can actually tell them the details about your company.
Amazing. For everybody who's here, because of course we want to make this as interactive as possible, I would like to know who is in that moment that is like, okay, of course, if you're in this event, it's because you're curious about the topic. But I want to know if you're really it's the first business that you have and you're starting, or is maybe the second business that you just, pivoted your original concept also due to the Corona crisis. We're rethinking and reinventing ourselves, and now it's time to pitch. So please share via comments, where are you standing now? basically what do you expect from this space that we have in the next hour. Well, almost like 45 minutes now. No, 55 minutes now. And that's it. We want to let you know what is going to happen next. For those who want to pitch, please let us know that you want to pitch today after Norman's presentation. And then, yeah, we see you in the chat with an amazing comments and questions. Please participate. Everybody, Norman, I'm out and I see you soon then.
All right. See you later, Maria. All right. I'm just going to make this a full screen. All right. Let's see. So welcome. That was the introduction. Just a bit more about myself. I've started 2 major companies, and one of them was a startup. I've started 3 companies. I've worked in 2 large multinational companies, and I have 1 ongoing company that I started. Overall, I've raised over 1.2 million angel funding, plus 3 million in government grants. And then we're currently, one of my companies is raising 6 to 8 million in Series A this year, sometime this year. And in my last 20 years of work experience, I've made over 100 presentations, more than 100 presentations, and most of them are pretty good. Some of them are not so good, and some of them are really good. So I found that in my work and coaching others, I developed a framework to help me be able to share some of my experiences that can help people to effectively make presentations effectively and consistently. So before we get to what makes how to make an effective pitch presentation, I want to define what is an effective pitch presentation. So for me, the definition of a successful pitch presentation is one where you get a follow-up, and that means whoever you're pitching to will say, "Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more." Or, "Hey, that sounds interesting. Let's meet later." Or, "Yes, please send me your deck." So oftentimes we don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So that's why it's so important to make sure your pitch presentation is the best it can be, so that you nail that initial impression. Because most of the time, investors particularly are approached by people, entrepreneurs, very frequently, and they don't have much time. So make sure your pitch presentation is spot on, clean, concise, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So for my framework, I call it the big 3, where I focus on 3 things to make sure it's effective. We talk about the audience. We talk about, I call it the PIC, how to be persuasive, how to be interesting, and how to be concise. And then I talk about practice, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But before we do, I'd like to share a little video.
So
it's a minute long.
3 things: a widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device. An iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. An iPod, a phone. Are you getting it? These are not 3 separate devices. This is one device. And we are calling it iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone. And here it is. No. Actually, here it is, but we're going to leave it there for now.
So that was pretty cool, wasn't it? So 1 quick minute, I just need to I can't see the chat while I'm have this playing, so I'm gonna see if I could do this another way. And Akvio, if you could just tell me if somebody wants to or have a question or something, because I can't see the chat, that would be useful. Here we go. Does that work? Okay. Nope. Okay, so let it keep going then. And next slide. Okay, so Steve Jobs is pretty much one of the greatest presenters of all times. At least a great example of a lot of videos that we can watch or we can study from. I mean, he's not the only great presenter, but he's a really good one to model after and learn from. And we'll get back to his presentation in a bit, but before we get back to to talk about his video, we'll dive into some of the big threes in my framework, and you'll start to see some of the key points for my framework, how that works into, or how that's shown an example by Steve Jobs. So we start with audience. With the audience, you want to know what the audience's motivations are. So are they investors who are looking for angel investments, or are they looking for, sorry, are you able to see? Okay, sorry, it's miscommunications. So starting with motivations, right? We want to know, investors generally want to know from a pitch or a presentation is what's in it for me? Is it how is investing in your company going to fit my portfolio requirements, or how is it going to meet my requirements for return on investments? And that's the same thing for whether or not it's an investor or a customer. You can think of investors just as customers. You know, customers also want to know, how does your product help them? And that's the same thing with potential recruits, and that's something that you must keep in mind when you're presenting to different people, whether or not it's an angel investors or a VC, or is it just a customer. Next, we look at, it's important to research your audience or who you're presenting to beforehand. So let's say you're going to pitch, or you're going to a conference and you know that there's going to be a lot of VCs there. You can't talk to all of them. And if you do talk to all of them, that's a lot of time that you might not have spent focusing on talking to a certain one. So do your research beforehand to know who's there, who you want to talk to. And you can do that through LinkedIn, Google, or even their websites for the VCs, to know that what kind of companies that generally they invest in, because you don't want to talk to a VC for 10 minutes and all of a sudden realize that, one, they are not investing right now, or two, they never invest in a company that do what you do. So you want to make sure you're targeted and you know who your audience and what do they want. And next, look at how all that ties together. Again, is because your audience have limited time and attention span. So you want to make sure you use that time and attention effectively. Now, quickly, we'll go through the PIC, what I call the persuasion, interesting, and concise. So to be precise, why do we need precise? Why do we need to be persuasive? It's like anything, you want to demonstrate that you're credible. You're credible in the industry. You're credible in how the market works, and you got to be sure that you're credible in how the numbers work. And then then that way the investors will know that you're worth following up. So how do we do that? We want to be persuasive. We use a blend of quantitative and qualitative data. So for example, this is one of the slides for one of the companies I've used. To be persuasive, immediately I throw out a quantitative fact that over $1 billion was spent on a certain problem in a certain year. And I link the source. That's from the National Renewable Energy Lab. And if you click on the link, if you have that slide, it will link to the actual report from this credible source. So the information is not only from me, but it's also from a very credible source. Another way of demonstrating credibility is having customers vouch for you, like testimonials. The bigger the name, you don't even need to have the name of the person because people generally care about the privacy. But having like titles of your customers, like directors, managers, are far more effective than just saying John Doe, from blah blah blah. And make sure to name the companies and getting their permission to use their quotes. Lastly, quantitative, more research data. So this is a slide that I would not use on the presentation in person, but I would send this in an email presentation where it shows a lot of data that can be viewed different ways to convey a certain point, to convey my point. And second, you want to be really interesting. So you want to be interesting. If you guys know who this is, this is Tony Robbins. He's probably one of the most energetic and famous motivational speakers in the world for the last 2, 3, 4 decades, probably. Now, not everybody can be as engaging and as just energetic as he is, but you do need some amount of engagement and energy. And there's other ways of being interesting other than being super energetic. You could tell a story. You can use hooks, transitions, strong ending, and you can give a very compelling vision of what you're trying to do with your company and the problem you're trying to solve. Because at the end of the day, if I am not excited about my product, my company, and my team, why should I expect the investor or my audience to care? And going back to the slide I just used, this slide, I find it to be very interesting. People find it interesting because immediately at the top I say, the world is not flat. Of course it's not. And I create a huge, so that's the hook, and that's the vision. And I would throw in a large, impactful number and a big problem to show why it's such a big problem. And that's immediate interest. And that is how, that's what we do to make sure people are interested and stay interested in what you're in your pitch and your presentation. Now, we want to be concise. Why? Again, limited time and attention. So how do we do that? And for me, I like to keep to the rule of 3. So you can see even with this presentation, I focus on just 3 things: the audience, the PIC, and practice. And each one of them have sub 3 items. It's possible I could expand those into long lists, but I force myself to use only 3. That way it forces me to condense and make sure my idea is concise. So to show what not to do, this is a team page of one of my very first companies that I started. I bet a lot of you are trying to read all the things that are on the screen right now. And that's exactly what happens if you put this slide up in your presentation. Everybody's going to stop listening to what you're trying to say. Instead, they're going to be trying to read all these small texts. Ideally, a better team page, a little bit more concise, is something like this, where at the top, obviously this is a team page, so I don't need to say this is a team page. I say combined, we have almost 60 years of experience. Boom, impactful. And then I list the people and the roles and a very short summary of what people's roles are on the team. That way, the audience and the investor can quickly read this quickly, and then refocus on what I am trying to say, and where I will go down the list, and maybe I won't go down the list, and talk about the team and why we're the best suited for this job. Now, the last point of the big three is practice. And for practicing, we start with we want to memorize. Have anybody, I bet if you're like me, I've tried to wing a presentation or improvise a presentation many times in the past, and more often than not, those presentations do not go well. Well, sometimes they go well, most of the time they don't go well. And because I'm trying to be too focused on what I want to say instead of connecting with the audience. And that is incredibly distracting for not only myself, but also for the audience. So at the end of the day, instead of trying to memorize a presentation like a script where you memorize it word by word, the best thing to do, for at least for me, and I suggest you can try that if you've never done it before, is to create an outline. So this will be an example outline of this presentation, where I would have my key points, and then I would have maybe highlight or bold certain parts that I want to really emphasize and slow down and talk about. And in between, I might insert little notes on how to transition between slides. So that way, when I would, if I need it, I can have this small piece of paper in front of me when I'm doing presentation, and it's helps me remember key points rather than me trying to look down, relying on it to read as I'm presenting. The next part about practice, and this is my favorite section, it's the Q&A. The questions and answers of any presentation is, to me, probably one of the most difficult and most underrated and least practiced part of most presenters. So, for example, I have been to every investor meeting I've ever been to, I've only spent about less than half of the time presenting. Most of the time, I would spend the majority of time doing questions and answers. And sometimes I wouldn't even be able to get through a presentation without being interrupted for questions. And that's why you have to practice before your presentation. You have to practice how to answer questions. You come up with questions that you think people will ask, especially questions that are difficult to answer. Have a good answer practiced. So if you know that your company has a weak point, or the market is kind of, so for example, right now, most investors will probably ask, how has the COVID-19 affected your business model and your market? Have an answer prepared for that. If you don't have an answer for a question that you know that people will ask, or if you get a question that you don't know how to answer, it's okay to say, I don't know. And you can practice saying, I don't know, but I can get back to you. I don't know. I will check with my engineer and I will get back to you tomorrow. And you have to follow up on that. As long as you can do that consistently, it leaves a good impression. Another trick I have that I love to share with people is having an appendix. So this appendix I will tag on at the end of my slides, and each one of those will link to another slide. So even though my initial presentation is only 15 slides, I will have 30 more slides after that with all these information that if anybody asks a question, for example, they ask a question about market, boom, I have 3 slides covered with data. They won't necessarily be able to read any of it, but that's okay. This is where you overwhelm people with how much data and how knowledgeable you are about your market and your company. So that's why I much prefer to go into Q&A fast and quick and not spend too much time on actually the presentation. Last is repetition. There's really no trick to that other than just there's one of my favorite quotes is, you keep doing something until you get it right. And you keep doing it until you can't get it wrong. So you practice in front of a mirror. You want to practice, looking to make sure your posture is good, and make sure your tone is engaging. And so we can see a good example of that. And we're going to circle back to the Steve Jobs video. And I want you guys to think about some of the things that we just talked about, like how to be interesting, how to be persuasive, the repetition, conciseness.
3 things: a widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device. An iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. An iPod, a phone. Are you getting it? These are not 3 separate devices. This is one device. And we are calling it iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone. And here it is. No, actually, here it is, but we're going to leave it there.
Okay. Normally, I would say if the people in this workshop could tell me what they saw in Steve Jobs' presentation that are covered by what we just talked about. But I think it's pretty obvious. He was very engaging. His energy isn't over the top, but he's interested and he's happy to be there. He is persuasive. He's concise. He focused on, even though the iPhone could do 50 different features and 50 different things, and has lots of really interesting features. He focused on just three. And then one thing that most people don't think about is that Steve Jobs practices this presentation. He practices over and over again like a play. So when he's on stage, he seems very natural. It looks like he's just there talking to you. So I think, if you want to see more of a good presenter, you can watch the YouTube, his other keynotes. So that pretty much brings an end to my presentation about how to make highly effective presentations. So, yeah, we don't have too much time, but I want to spend the rest of the time giving you guys the opportunity to have some feedback for your pitches. So if you have anything from ideally 5 to 10 minutes, but less, the shorter the better, then we can have more time doing feedback and have other people get a chance to also do their pitches and feedback as well.
Hello, Norman. I was taking notes on everything that you said, and I tried to encourage a lot of people to join us in the pitch moment. I don't know if we have somebody willing to share their business and basically rehearse what you have shared. And just to encourage everybody, I want to know, yes, we don't have people. I confirm. Why you don't have? Why, guys? First of all, you need to put yourself out there to be able to do your business. And even if you're in ideation phase, just to share like what is your business concept, even if you're not in business yet, this is a great space for you to rehearse it and to have live feedback from Norman. As an alternative, meanwhile somebody gets enthusiastic, we can just rehearse it, the two of us. I think that we can do that. So we can give an example of what we can do and we can get some extra insights and tips. What do you think? Shall we? Norman?
Sorry, who's pitch? Sorry.
I'm just asking you if we can already go ahead with the two of us to just give an example of a pitch and that you give me feedback so people have a better understanding and also get enthusiastic about jumping on. It's all about doing business, and you need to put yourself out there with everything that we mentioned. We have some people watching right now, so like if you want to join, please share. Just say so via private message, and we're going to let you know how you can come here and do your pitch. So just as an example, and also because we're really promoting today the fact that you and many of our experts, like we have plus 40 speakers now for the Here to Start Fest. So we have this event happening next week, and we want to invite everybody. So let's do the pitch for that. So let's say I'm going to do the pitch for the Here to Start Fest, for what Here to Start is, of course, apart from the event, in front of investors. So I will just rehearse my pitch based on what you just mentioned, all your tips, your do's and don'ts, and you give me feedback. Clear?
Yeah.
Let's do it like that. So maybe we can put the whole screen so we're the two of us now. Bigger? Yes. There we go. So the pitch will be, so we start with who we are or what we want from you or what do we want as an outcome of the pitch, right? Yes? Yep. So let's say you are a potential investor. Yeah? So you're a potential investor for Here to Start, and I want to pitch what Here to Start is. So Here to Start. So as international entrepreneurs that we start our business somewhere else, in this case, we have the Netherlands, yeah? So we're international communities starting business abroad. That can be really hard. And there's not a way that we can map out in the Netherlands who is starting a business that is not from the Netherlands, and starting your business as an international away from home can be really lonely. So that's why we started Here to Start as the initiative to gather a community around entrepreneurship, and hopefully as a measuring our impact and influencing in decision makers, so we can have a better and smoother way to land our business in the Netherlands. For me, I'm Colombian. I'm from Colombia as a non-EU citizen. On top of having my regular challenges for finding clients and stuff, I needed to go through a lot of things with immigration. Yeah, I'm in the Netherlands for 9 years, and it didn't work out as smooth as I thought so. And that's why I started this initiative to actually come together and see what we can do to help each other as a community and influence on policy making. What am I looking forward? I'm looking to have some investment on board so we can continue growing our community. We're planning to launch our platform, and next week, actually, we're going to have the biggest event of all, calling internationals from all over the globe who are interested in coming to the Netherlands or jumping into the European market. And that will be a perfect occasion for us to show what we have done together, and also to invite them to join our platform. We're going to have a platform for all our community to interact, access to experts, access to special benefits from our partners. We already have more than 10 partners all over. And also we included Colombia, my country, as the first guest country during our event. So it's all about not the Netherlands, but all about business landing, helping, and becoming these connectors. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for an investor that can help us grow our community, map out what we can do together, and move forward, hopefully to make something amazing together as internationals in the Netherlands. What do you think? I didn't mention numbers though, but yeah.
That's great, Maria. That's a lot. I think that took about 2 minutes.
I'm sorry. I was not doing the time tracking with.
I know.
Okay.
So that's that's the part of the something that people don't think about, right? It's like how long are you talking for, and so pretending I was an investor, and assuming you were pretending I was an investor, then within 2 minutes, that was a lot of information. I think
Yeah.
did really good, covered a lot.
We cover a lot, yeah.
My quick low-hanging fruit feedback that you can take and use tomorrow is have something write it out first.
Okay.
Yeah, write it out, and then you can edit it so you know exactly what you need to actually communicate in, let's say, a minute, 2 minutes.
Let's talk about the structure. So if I want to write down that, what will be the ideal structure? Like talk about the problem I'm solving, or what is my solution, or what type of help I need?
It depends on what you're trying to communicate. So if you are trying to say at the end of it is, I am looking for an investor to help me reach the next milestone of we're currently raising series, C or C investment. We're looking for investors for our seed. So you said we're looking for investor to help us grow. That's not super helpful. I want you. Ideally, you're concise, right? You get to the point. You're saying, we are who we are. Why we do what we are, like your story, your personal story, which I heard who we are. I heard your personal story. I heard problems. I heard what you're doing, and I heard an sort of ask, because I wasn't sure what you were asking. So all of those things, you don't have to put it all within a minute or 2 minutes.
Okay.
You can focus on, just a few things, right? Either, hey, I want you to come to my event, and then we can talk about investment, right?
That can be
the whole point is you want that follow-up. You don't want me to say, so it's like, oh, that's really interesting. Hey, it was nice meeting you. Good luck. You want to continue to have a conversation, or better yet, have them come with you to the event. So my suggestion is to write it out, and then you can edit it, and that way you can really be concise on what you put in. So it could be a very edited pitch, because then you can say, hey, my name is Maria. I started 7 days ago. Or I started Here to Start.
In this case, we're saying Here to Start, yeah.
Festival. Yeah, I'm the founder of the Here to Start Festival. We have over 50 partners already, and our goal is to help companies, international companies, start in the Netherlands, make starting a business in the Netherlands easy. That was one sentence, right? That covered the first
everything I said.
In the first minute, basically.
Yeah, that's cool.
So try to use the fewest words you can, and use simple words, because I know, for one, English is not your first language. Even if English is first language, I would say use simple words. Use because I think you mentioned like integrated platform and something along the lines of something like that, right? Those are really good words to convey technology, but for a pitch, you generally want to keep it no buzzwords, try to keep it very simple about like what you're trying to do, who you're helping, how you're making their lives better. You're helping international companies, start companies in the Netherlands, easy.
Cool. Perfect, and noted and recorded, because we're recording this session. For everybody who previously registered, you will get this the slides and this video, which is really, really useful. You see, we just did like an example of a pitch, and immediately Norman told me like how to simplify it and make it come down to 1 minute of clear communication on what we do with this example of Here to Start. Thank you, Norman, for that. I think that this is perfect. This is perfect. If you are able to simplify what you do in a way that that you make it clear, and that you also know what is the next step, that's good, because it's not like, okay, and here's my pitch, bye, like you said. So, for example, like I will say in this case that I have the event coming up in the 1st of July next week. Hey, I will invite you because we can continue a conversation there, and then you can see it in action. Don't tell, show, right? So you want to see what is my community about? Come to the event, just see it, and then we'll talk, right?
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. especially if you know the person you're talking to is interested in meeting other entrepreneurs, you can say there will be we have over 400 people already registered. I think they will be all eager to meet you, and I think some of them would be appropriate for your investment criteria. Things like that. It's like knowing audience and being concise.
Perfect. I see a question here from Lina Ceballos. She's asking in Spanish, but I will translate right now. She's asking what type of content, is like key, like blogs, podcasts, authors, to learn more about how to do proper presentations effective, like if there's any recommended sources that you might have about how to do proper presentations, of course, apart from coming to this event. What else?
I think if you Google, there are hundreds of thousands, probably, guides and advices on how to make clear presentations. I've found I've improved most from doing different sources, including like visual design, blogs, guides, training, not like virtual training, online trainings about how to make presentation designs that are simple and clear and concise. That I find personally really useful. But really, it's whatever you find. What is your weakest area? You focus on what do you find is your weakest. So if you find that you have a hard time talking in public, then Google, how to make public speeches.
Speaking, exactly.
Public speaking, thank you. How to become, and then you find a ton of resources on how to improve that skill. If you find that your English is not very clear, or your writing isn't very good, so I would suggest focus on what do you think is your weakest skill, rather than focus on like pitches in general. Because there are like hundreds of different guys, different ways to do it. This is my framework and how I find what I follow to be consistent.
Really, really important, because people always say, give me that link that is going to do the magic trick. But in the end, it's about you, what you need, and that you find it around Google, around people that you know, or that they know you, they know that you struggle with this type of challenge, or that you need to work on that.
Yeah, so that's where I think, like, especially if you work with someone like me who can help you identify specific areas that could, it's basically, these are like the low-hanging fruit, right? You want to focus on what you can improve the quickest with the most impact. And someone, who's gone through it all and has a lot of experience can help you do that much quicker than watching hours and hours of YouTube video.
Of course, that's why with all of our experts, we want to be that, fast track to get the information you need, because of course, experience can really save you a lot of time. And Norman mentioned in the beginning that you did like hundreds of this type of presentations, pitches. You got investors for your companies. You are also an investor yourself. So in that sense, you can really share your insights with our audience. And that's why I want everybody to take advantage of the fact that we're doing this with Norman. If you have any questions, please take advantage of this space. We want to answer to all of your questions, be more active and interactive. And for those who want to continue the conversation on this topic with Norman, make sure that you join our upcoming Here to Start Fest, which is basically what we're talking about before. Norman is going to be there talking about how to pitch, and he's also going to be doing like one-on-ones. So make sure that you book him now within the program. There is the link in the comments, so you can join. We also have like a 20% discount for you guys who are following us and in our community. And just take into account that you can join independently for what you're standing on. We have different types of tickets. That means that if you're in ideation phase, you can have specific content for people who are like starting, learn how to pitch, how to register their business, how to find a co-founder, all of these things. We have also tailored content for people who are in the growth moment. So you're in business, you're thinking about what is the next step. And we have the last ticket for those who are ready to go international. Yeah. So just go to the website, check it out, and let us know. And for this space, now that we have 15 minutes left, I would like to know who has any more questions for Norman or what we can do, because I don't see anybody who is raising their hand to pitch today. Norman, why is that happening?
If anybody have even short 1 sentence or 2 sentence pitch that they want to practice and get feedback on, hey, this is like free advice that it can save you hours and hours of pain.
Exactly. So just hop on into our comments. I'm checking what you are commenting and see if somebody wants to share their questions or that like 1 sentence speech, so we know how we can help you guys. Yeah. Okay. What if not? Meanwhile, this happens. Well, we have 15 minutes left, Norman, and people are not telling us anything about themselves. What do you think about it? It is what it is.
That's okay. It's very difficult to share ideas that we have, when we're at the ideation phase early on, right? Or because it's very vulnerable. We're worried that someone's gonna look at our idea and think it's stupid or something like that, or the pitch is not very good, and I'm not. So that's when I think it's it takes a little bit of
courage.
Guts. I know we're good, but here it is. And we can turn it around in 5 minutes, just like what we do with now yours. I'm not saying yours is bad or anything. It's I always say there's always room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. It could be good to great, right? It could be good, but you could be great. What would you rather be? So that's what I say.
I think that the tips that you gave, are really actionable for everybody who's now watching and that is going to watch this video later, on how to translate something that you see, because your business is your baby, right? So it's like, look at my baby, it's perfect, So how we can make it work in a way that, yes, of course, you feel for your business, but a person that is a complete stranger, external person, will also have a lot of nice feedback for you and give you like that, that link, that thing that is a trigger to get that attention in the end, because it's all about attention, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, we could talk about your pitch a little bit more if you like.
Please. We can also do one for expert pool.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes.
I was thinking the other thing that I think I could give you, I want to add to the feedback is that the using the personal story is a very powerful tool. And we kind of hinted at that the last time I was on the coffee talk.
Yeah.
Personal stories can be a good way to kind of demonstrate, like one, your motivation, and could show how serious you are about this idea. And two, it can be personable and make you very relatable. So you could start your pitch with a short and quick story about how when you try to start a company in the Netherlands, you found it very difficult. And with your experience, you want to help others avoid that pain.
Exactly. That is basically what I said in many minutes, but this is exactly what I said. And I mean, we create businesses that we feel for, of course. You need to have that to the core. So you have the passion for it, but it's so important to say it in a way that it makes sense, like from your personal story, how you came up with this solution or with this business concept, right?
Yeah. And this is where I think like you have a good story and it just needed to edit it down a little bit. It's a long story, but you can get that point across very quickly. And you can do it passionately. It's like when I came to Netherlands, I started Expert Pool. It was so painful, right? So it's like you can still be passionate about and bring good energy about what you're saying by using few words. And it's easier for people to feel that energy and be able to hear what you're trying to say when you're using fewer words.
That's good.
Surprising, right?
So my takeaway, please talk less. Choose your words in a simple way so people can get you and feel the impact from the energy of what you say rather than the amount of words you say. Yes?
Yes.
Thank you, Norman. So let's try it again. Let's try, to get around pitching again, because we have 10 minutes, and I think that it's really fun to do this rehearsal with you. Let's do it with another business then. Because we're here to start, do you think that we should rehearse here to start again?
Well, whatever you like.
Or go for the expert pool concept?
Whichever you like.
Okay. No, let's try to see if I got your feedback on the pitch for here to start. So I can try to rehearse it in one sentence. I didn't have time to write it down, nothing.
I know, it's so hard. I'm expecting you to do this right now because
I can't.
Usually I like to do feedback and then you go home, just kind of a homework, right? And then do
yes.
a couple of
But what I got is that I can say things in less time. So let's try. So what do you think? It's better that I start with my personal story, and then wrap it, and then come to what is here to start? Yeah, I will try.
I think it depends on who you're talking to, how you're feeling the audience, it's what you're feeling. So it's always be prepared for different versions. So that's why I say practice different versions and have it in your back pocket. So whichever feels good, you take it out.
Cool. I'll try. So if I forget that I know you or that we are working together, you're a complete stranger in the street, I will say, I came to the Netherlands almost 10 years ago, and I faced everything that can go wrong for an international to start their business in the Netherlands. It was really difficult to find my way through. I didn't know anybody. I could ask anything. And based on that, my own experience, I decided to create this community where we can simplify what happens and have a way more smooth landing, like business landing. Oops. A way that we can have an easier way, through everything that we need to face as international entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship can be quite challenging in general, especially when you're not from a country, and that's why I decided to start here to start our community to help people to find their way as entrepreneurs, meet the right experts, meet the right people who are in business so we can help each other.
That was so good.
Norman, did I do it? Yes?
That was so good. I get it. I get what you're trying to do. And I heard it all. I mean, it was very good. I would say record that.
It's recorded.
Yeah. Put it in writing. And so see, that was very good.
Amigo,
and if I'm a stranger, I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. Tell me more.
Yes, and then we can do a conversation. What you want is to go to the Q&A moment, right? To get the interest and questions, right? So that's the icebreaker, the pitch.
You dangle just enough out there that maybe they'll find one or two things interesting, and you continue that conversation. You don't have to tell them everything. You don't have to tell them your life story, but just enough. Just a tease, right?
Perfect. So this time it's way better. You see, it immediately, I'm demonstrating here, people, that working with an expert works. Look, for me, I didn't prepare this pitch before, or I didn't talk to Norman about we're going to do this. We just improvised this since none of you is participating in a shape your pitch. And look what happened, Even for me, I'm in business for a long time, I can always learn from our experts. Norman, you're amazing. Thank you for that. You really helped me out because I need to talk about here to start every day 10,000 times.
I'm sure you do.
Perfect. This is perfect. Thank you. I will take it with me because I'm going to do a presentation actually about what is here to start during the event with all of the people, who's going to be there. So amazing. I really like what we have done today. And for everybody, we are going to also share. The link is there. If you pitch people, if you ask anything, let me know. We have, because we're both speakers, we have limited access to some free tickets. So I will just give you a free ticket if you participate, okay? Let me know. So we have 7 minutes left. What else can we do to wrap it up? I think you already said best practices, do's and don'ts. And I think that maybe a good idea, we can talk about key takeaways, just to highlight what we have covered because some people hop on and off during this presentation. Just to wrap it up, what do you think?
Cover the what? Say again.
Let's cover everything, the key takeaways from this session.
Key takeaways?
Summarize what we accomplished. So let's do it. Summary version.
Summary.
Just a little summary, and then I will just invite you for our upcoming events. And that's it for today, guys. So, Norman, what have we covered today?
So what we covered today are what I think is the three things that I always focus on when I want to make a very effective pitch or presentation. The same thing. And I focus always on the audience and knowing their audience motivation, doing research beforehand, and being sensitive to the audience time and my own time. Second thing is being I call it the PIC, being persuasive, being interesting, and being concise. And that, obviously a lot of overlap with the audience. And the third is very important. What I think is the most important is to practice. Even if the content is not very good, if you deliver that content confidently with good energy, it can still get people interested enough to want to follow up. So to do that, we want to make sure we memorize our content. We memorize at least the outline, not the script, right? That's the don't do. Don't memorize scripts. The second, practice our questions and answers. Have long list of questions prepared. Good ones, bad ones, every kind of question you can imagine that someone could ask. And you don't need to have an answer for everything, but even having a few answers that can cover different questions will be more than enough. And last, just repetition. Do it over and over again. Do it until you can't get it. Do it until you get it right, and do it until you can't get it wrong.
That's amazing.
That's the what?
That's amazing because during this session we had the chance of me repeating my own pitch, and you can immediately see improvement just by doing it one time again. Like it was really working out just by repeating and just listening to your feedback and tweaking everything so it can fit what we were advising. Yeah.
I didn't mention in the practice part. It's also really useful to practice in front of people that like your friends. Practice in front of your girlfriend, mom, dad. Doesn't matter. Anybody who will listen, just so that you can get comfortable talking to people in person, even if it's a short elevator pitch or a 20-minute presentation. Always practice. Never do anything cold. Unless you're like, I know someone who can do things cold, and he's like one in 1,000. Unless you're one of those 1 in 1,000 people, practice.
Practice is key. Yeah, in the end, expertise is gained because of practice. So just think about what you have to do on a regular basis to get there. About that, we're also going to have an online business speed dating, and speed dating is about time. So during the whole Here to Start Fest, we're going to have that one. So just re-watch, basically go through this video so you can practice, write it down, prepare, so you can take the best out of it. Because the more concise you are, the more straight to the point you are, the better results you will get within networking environments, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. I see Lina Ceballos. Thank you for coming here. Also, joining this session, Regan, everybody who has been watching, we really appreciate that you are here. I know that you're paying attention, even if you didn't make any questions or whatever. We just want to be this, we just want to serve as this platform of experts that to give you access to knowledge, share tips, help you move forward as a business owner. And basically we have our upcoming events. I also want to invite you, because every Monday and every Thursday, every Monday and Thursday we are hosting an event here. So on Mondays are for coffee. I love coffee. So I sit down with one of our experts to talk on, you name it. The topic for our upcoming coffee break is called the impact of visual thinking at work. Really relevant topic, Visual thinking is up and coming, is really, really, really trendy. And we want to understand how to communicate in a visual way what we're doing, which is basically also a really nice way to integrate things into our pitch, right? Especially when you have presentations. Right, Norman? So
absolutely.
So we want to invite everybody to join our coffee break. That one is just half an hour. On Thursdays, we always host our webinars. Yeah. These upcoming weeks, we're all going to go to the Here to Start Fest. So we have basically this coffee break, and then we see you because the Here to Start Fest is happening on the 1st and 2nd of July. Maybe you can put that slide on. Yeah. So we have promoted that one, and we told you everything about it today. So we are just expecting to see you there with all of our experts and see what we can do together. And yeah, see you in the upcoming events. Thank you, Norman, for your time, for your feedback, for helping me out with my pitch as well.
You're welcome.
Yes, and
We were able to help you.
I see you next week then. And thanks everybody for watching. Dooey dooey. Ciao, ciao, everybody.